Thank you all for a
Good
great
show,
show.
guys.
And we will see you next week on the Third Side Convo. Oh, hold on.
Stuff.
Hey, Steve, what did you say earlier?
I talked over the transition time.
Well, everybody's
Okay,
going
he's gonna have to
opinion.
cut it. Oh, so he's going to have to cut it.
And we got to,
Okay.
put in facts to whatever the time frame is that this is happening, and check the facts. Check the facts yourself. Don't rely on media for your facts.
Can you all hear the Zoom?
Amen.
Yes?
Are you
Can y'all
asking us?
Zoom? Ollie, you can hear?
Yeah, we can hear.
definitely you. Joe was a little bit low volume.
I was low volume?
You still
Yes.
are.
Am I better now?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be talking during the show except for the intro.
All right, so a pool guy.
Yes, sir.
How did it go? What did we miss? And do you agree, or did we?
Well, it's an interesting topic, no doubt about that. But, what has gone on in the last, decade, no one of us has ever even imagined it would come to where we're, slinging mud left and right. And, we just accept it. So check your facts.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay, Ollie, what do you think?
I'm very much in agreement with just about everybody. There was, there's been fellow veterans that have said that that's the whole reason we fought was so that somebody has the right to say something offensive.
Or criticize the government.
And for the record, unlike the VP nominee, I never went into combat.
Donald Thomas, what do you think?
Well, I think two reasons. Like, I'm kind of with Jeff on the part of being in the entertainment field, that you have certain rights of speech. Being entertainment or be on the public, there's certain rights that you have while speaking, and there's rights of not speaking, things that you should not be saying. If you're going to harm somebody with untruths and misinformation where it causes harm to those people's reputation, that's the speech that we're talking about. It's not free, because you're harming somebody's reputation with unsolicited or untruth information, and that should always be a no-no.
Right,
Yeah,
it
but
is,
it's
and you're
still
allowed to
free.
sue for that.
Unfortunately, it comes with consequences.
Yeah, when you
I
harm
think it
people,
happens every day.
but
I
like,
think
especially if it's untrue,
Reddit-
if it's untrue information, you should have a right to sue anybody if it's untrue information and they harm your representation or whatever. So let more people
That's
sue.
the problem. It's so hard to have recourse, because you could go down the rabbit hole on Reddit comments and you could be defamed all over the place, but what are you going to get out of it? How much is it going to cost you?
That's
So that's the problem with society. There's no real recourse unless you're Peter Thiel and you go after Gawker Media in 2013 and fund a lawsuit and just run Gawker into the ground, which is now bankrupt, because he got pissed off that they printed out that he was gay. He did it through the Hulk Hogan case. Remember, Hulk Hogan had a sex tape. Somebody got it. They put it on. The sports website, and then the idiot editor made something stupid. Anyway, they got shut down because of it, but mainly because Peter Thiel put $10 million up to run him into the ground.
Put him in the ground, exactly.
That's how it happened.
Well,
Exactly.
okay, so a question I have is we currently have laws that if you are saying, let's use gay or fag or a disparaging remark for African-American people and so forth, if you use those terms in the midst of committing a crime, it now becomes a hate crime and therefore has considerably more automatic result as far as for like more time, or it's more egregious. Do you agree with that? That the speech you give, the verbally words that you use, can determine and therefore elevate the crime?
I think it all depends on context as how much. You can say, oh, what a F word you are, and go off. But if you go, I'm going to kill you, F, or I'm going to kill you, N, I'm going to do this now to you, N, then it becomes racially tinged.
Well,
So you'd add a bonus on it for that.
there's
Absolutely.
Leo.
So
Yeah,
Joe's
Leo.
asking, is that right or not?
So, I don't know if I
Leo's
don't want to
turn.
interrupt.
No,
Hey,
you're supposed
you
to.
know, two things. The council culture thing was a really good point. A lot of people miss AI in the whole situation because AI can mimic your voice and they can change everything you say. So I would have thought that we could have brought AI up in the show to talk about how they can take your voice and make you say something that you didn't say. So upon from Joe's point is that yes, you could say something in context and it'll throw the whole conversation off. But in this, what we're doing to get more watchers and viewers, I would talk more about technology, the voice of free speech, and understanding how it affects people if somebody manipulated your voice also on that pawn issue.
My concern, and this is a real concern for me, is that if we start allowing the laws to say, based on your speech, you get higher crime or you have a higher thing, or you can be punished just for saying words. At some point, you're right. AI may make things worse for you and may make a problem. But more importantly, I can get in trouble for doing something basic like calling Ted a Democrat. Who says that's not a hate crime?
Well, it's
That's
certainly
right.
an insult.
That's not true. I
Well,
think you
Who
got to
determines
understand.
what words are hateful or not?
Well,
Well,
if
said
it-
in
Society
context,
does.
you gotta-
It's society.
right. Well, like, if, for example, if
Yeah,
I'm
but
a
that's small brew.
comic,
You
right?
don't want that either.
For example, I'm a comic. If I get up on stage and I make some derogatory statements and call people N-words or something like that, do they have a right? Do people have a right to sue me because I'm a comic on stage? There's certain areas that we have rights to say things. If you come to a comedy show and you get offended, you can't sue me because you came to a comedy show. So there's certain
Well,
rights.
Michael Rich did exactly what you just said, and he did not get sued, but his career was destroyed.
Yeah, his career
Who
was
was that?
destroyed. That's the problem that we
Michael
need
Richards,
to address.
Michael.
If you come to a comic show and you get offended, you can't come and try to sue me. Well, anything in the comic show is you got to presume that it's automatically people are going to say things, and then you can't try to come back and try to sue somebody because we said something that you got to.
Satire is protected. And, the problem I think is almost the opposite, especially with satire, where people there are bad actors that will hide behind satire and use it as a way to spread disinformation.
Exactly.
And then kick back and go, oh, satire. It's not, there's no black and white answer to this. It's really not. It's like that famous Supreme Court. I can't remember the justice that said it was a billion years ago. But the Supreme Court justice on an obscenity case who says, I don't know what obscenity is. I can't define it, but I know what
Anybody
I
can
see.
hear me. I'm actually
It was
wondering,
actually
can you
pornography.
actually have a
You said that about
situation
pornography.
where
Wasn't
something
it
said on a comedy show could be actually
And it was like Rehnquist.
and theoretically,
or
I think the answer is yes.
That becomes it's intrinsically a gray area, and we're never going to be able to put absolute concrete guardrails around speech because language, society,
Changes,
culture
yeah.
evolves every single day.
Right.
Hey,
So I
before
think,
we get
I
off
think
here, can we get
Joe,
Emerson in to posit his thoughts?
If we can get him on his video up.
There he is.
Emerson, what do you think, Emerson?
Y'all are merging two separate things. You have the criminal and the civil. In criminal cases, there have always been aggravating factors. Crimes against police officers are treated more seriously. Crimes against postal workers are treated more seriously. Against the elderly, against the young, same crime. But if you hit a certain age, 17 or 18, the penalty increases. So you have to be careful about that. Anybody remember George Carlin, the comedian?
of course.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. Well, his case went all the way up to the Supreme Court about language. And
Yep.
the court
7
held,
words.
that's exactly right. The language held in certain contexts, you get what you pay for. By that I mean he had a reputation for using ribald, far edge language, which people loved. I'm old enough to remember going to comedy shows with Red Fox before he was discovered on TV, and the language was not for the pure of heart. So the point is, you have to be careful. In the civil things, the question is not what can be said, it's who is prohibiting you from saying it. The government is one thing. Disney has a bunch of rules that government could not enforce. When my kids worked there, they had dress rules, hair rules, beard rules. They had rules for everything. And if you were above a certain weight and height, or you didn't look attractive, you worked underground as opposed to upground. And that's just the way life was for Disney. So you have to be very careful in separating. So there's a book that I recommend to everyone, and it's called Free Speech for Me, but Not for Thee. It was by a guy named Nat Hentoff, who worked for the Village Voice, and he was just an amazing guy about the experience he had in many different areas. He primarily wrote as a music critic, but he just had a keen mind. The thing is, power suppresses language because they don't want it to be told. If you look at some of the book exclusions that Florida has, I heard someone mention a book that they thought was the greatest book written in America. Portions of that book caused it to be removed from shelves. But that's the way people spoke. That's what was said. That was part of the book language in context. So I read recently, and then I'll hush, that Agatha Christie's books, I've never read one, but they were xenophobic, and they were racist, and they were elitist. So some guy's going to rewrite the books, and he's going to make them clean for everybody. Well, that's foolish. That's the way she thought. That's the way she lived. That's what she said. But money, power, has decided that we need to clean it up so everybody will like it and buy it. So if you separate the civil from the criminal and then walk down that path, it'll be easier. But in criminal cases, the big thing is, are you talking to incite a crime? Are you talking to get people to do something that's dangerous to others? You cannot say there's a bomb on this plane. You cannot say that I'm going to kill you tomorrow at 12, and you have a reputation for using violence. That's dangerous. So there you go.
Yeah, Emerson, what you said makes a lot of sense because, I work at the airport. If you say certain things, you can say cherry bomb, you can say explosive. If someone hears you, we had to act.
That's exactly right.
We had to act on certain things, so you can get held up for 3 hours, 4 hours. I seen a guy miss his flight because he said cherry bomb, and somebody had heard the word bomb, and everybody freaked out. So are certain things you cannot say in certain areas and certain positions, So
and government people don't realize can ban you from flying because of certain things you said and done.
Lying is not a right.
Lying is right. Exactly.
So Emerson, I guess, are you in favor of our free speech within the country and would rather not go the way that countries are going in Europe regarding speech?
Absolutely. I've traveled recently to Singapore and New Zealand and Australia. I have not been to England, but I read a lot of British newspapers. Most of the problems you have is because people are fearful of immigrants.
Yeah.
They're fearful of certain segments of the population, and they don't want them to have a voice. If you're in Singapore, you cannot get up on a soapbox and make a statement. They will snatch you down and put you in jail. So no, I don't want that.
Airports like that. Yeah.
Let's get Emerson on a panel.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be able to be on a PC and have his phone sideways, the right direction. So that
we'll get him on. We'll get him on.
Why don't we go to Saudi Arabia and talk about their draconian anti-LGBTQ laws? And see how far.
But they're really clean there. The streets are real clean there, aren't they?
In Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, because if you throw, there's some, I know I've heard that they are.
Singapore. You throw
Singapore's the same way, right? They'll just throw you in jail if you do something.
A while ago,
and don't buy a bag of weed in Singapore.
Right. or Russia, right? Yeah, right. There you go.
A while ago, my son was interviewing someone from Pakistan, and the guy teaches women how to drive, and they were trying to get him for some reason because evidently it's against the law to teach women how to drive in Pakistan, and so that's not a good thing there. Every culture, every area is different. My concern is if we decide we're going to go ahead and make hate speech an issue, then we're going to have to define who determines what hate speech is. And even the word gay, is gay happy? Or is it now being redefined across all worlds? It's only going to mean homosexual.
Yeah. Joe Bob, I mean, Joe Boy, what are you talking about? What about the Ku Klux Klan gatherings? Were that hate speech?
I
Look
think
what that
it's
led
the,
to.
uh,
I'm
the
sure.
From
We're calling it
1870 to 1950. What do you think that was? That was nothing
Yeah.
but
You
hate
have to
speech.
have the right to make a
And
public
the
fool of
US
yourself.
Supreme Court upheld in 2003 Virginia's ban on
And I
burning
think
crops,
comedians
which is not
have,
inherently,
it's just
you
like
know,
the
you're
the
not
court
hurting
jester
somebody overtly by doing that.
the medieval
And some
court.
racist entity,
The only
the
person
KKK or
who's
something, took it
able
all
to
the way
speak
to
truth
Supreme
and
Court.
power is the comedian.
So there are,
And I
you
think
know,
if comedians
we have decided as a country, there are
political role
certain
in the
things
country, it
that
Yeah,
just
standards.
screw that. We're not
point
gonna
out
have
the
it.
things that need to be laughed
You know,
at.
that law is probably not, doesn't work in France, but it works in America because what happened in the country from 1600 until
It's
17,
really bad.
1950, you know, that's why. 1960.
That's all.
All right. Well, if we do this free speech show again, I'm gonna have to find two people just that really want to argue for more restriction of speech and hate speech laws and everything else, and then Jeff and Ted can even be on the right of this issue.
Oh my goodness.
I did well.
Oh my goodness.
That's what we're talking about, right? It's what we find is a
And
lot
I
of
do love you, Ted. I just somehow, for some
no.
reason,
He was
I'm
totally
perfectly
agreeing
I
with you, Joe boy.
accidentally did that. That wasn't on purpose.
Bring me for Jesse Waters. Jesus.
No,
Ah,
What
take
does
you
that
for-
say about
for
you?
Ben Shapiro.
But Ben
Yes.
Shapiro's not a politician. You didn't have to dig him for that. He's got an itchy finger when it comes to Ted, that's for sure.
Yeah. What does
All
it
right,
say about
anybody that
you,
didn't
Joe
get to
Boy?
talk on the Zoom or any more thoughts?
I
Any
think it
more
was a great
thoughts on
show.
the Zoom?
Michelle
It
did
was a
not
great show.
after.
Hey, what did you think? Well, what do you everybody on the Zoom think about these panelists we've got? What do y'all go around on that one?
Oh,
A lot of
have a
great
unique
personalities.
beautiful.
You guys are doing a great job.
Hey, when
Great job.
Michelle talks, I go like this.
For some reason, I think Don really enjoys listening to Michelle talk. And I love the pool guy. The guy's always in the pool. I love this guy.
Thank you.
I think he should do a panel from the pool. We got to
Yeah,
find a way to do a panel from
Oh,
the pool.
I
From
did find
Bob.
another interesting one that I'll tell you about. I was talking to somebody that's interested in being on the show, and it turns out that his dad is on the left, he's on the right, his mom is on the right, and his other brother's on the left. So we're going to do a show one time that's going to be all one family.
And you have to
Wow,
trust
that's-
it.
What's that?
That's called Thanksgiving dinner, Bob.
Well, exactly. Well, maybe, hey, actually, that could be our Thanksgiving show. Well,
That's what I would
you
do.
know,
Yeah.
we've had so many great ideas about how this could even be like a board game, right? Where we actually teach people how to talk about things by keeping the politicians out of it, right? Because you
Right.
can talk about things. Ted, you and I could, with some of these guys here, there's no way we could stay on subject except keeping all the people out of it.
Oh, please tell me we can
I've
get a
watched your
card
emails
Ted
back
like
and
this.
forth.
Tell me we can get a card with Ted like this so they can pull a card of Ted.
Tell,
Yeah, we-
tell Joe Boy to take down that Ben Shapiro poster behind him.
Oh,
Jeez.
Ted, I'm giving you a hard time.
Huh?
That's my first
I always give you a hard
client ever.
time, Michelle. Michelle, you and I should get together and we should talk about that. I'm getting
I'm not going to be mean to you.
I know. We should get together and talk about this.
All
Ted,
right.
he'll put up a
Fall.
Josh Shapiro poster instead. What do you think? Josh
Right.
Shapiro better?
Hey, let's give Michelle a thumbs up because she's the only woman on the panel today. She held her own against all
Yes, she
these
did.
guys. Let's give her a big thumbs up.
Way to go,
All right.
Michelle.
Okay, guys, well, I
right.
guess this will
And-
end the after show unless there's anything else. And we will see y'all next week. Had a wonderful time today. Thank you. Let's try not to get so much agreement next time.